following is brought to you in part by Patrick McLaughlin of Douglas Elliman Real Estate. And by a donation from the Melissa Cohn Group with William Ravis Mortgage. More information at raveis.com. Oh, yeah. Is Nana dead or just drunk again? This is the Thanksgiving edition of Air Hamptons with Bridget and Bill. Pass the mashed potatoes. We are just thankful to be here.
We are, and I noticed that we chose the name Talking Turkeys. I meant to say Talking Turkey because when it's Talking Turkeys, you and I are the turkeys.
Yes, we are.
Talking.
We are.
Yes, we are.
Welcome to Air Hamptons. This is our November edition. We've been doing this for 1 year and won an award for it for some reason.
I just have no idea why. They must have just stuck.
I'm
like
as
one of those
stunned
things
as you are and as everyone listening is.
Totally. Everybody should be stunned. It's actually our 13th. It's our 13th month.
Lucky
we
number 13.
started last year with Thanks for Giving.
Yes. Well, look, there's a lot to talk about in this hour. We have Jennifer Esposito, who has a family movie, but the family is the mafia.
Right. Fresh Kills.
Fresh Kills. It was at the last month at the Hamptons Film Festival. I got a chance to see it and to talk to her.
Good. We have Mike Bettini, who he's a wildlife biologist. He's been around forever through Group for the South Fork, Group for the East End, and now CTUC, Environmental Association. And he's going to be talking to us about wild turkeys.
Terrific. And speaking of turkeys, we're going to pick the worst movies of all time. Rotten Tomatoes is going to help us with a little of that. And anyone who has seen Maestro, speaking of movies, knows that one of the best scenes is a fight between Bradley Cooper and Carey Mulligan in their Central Park West apartment with the giant Macy's Day Parade cartoon floats sailing by in the background.
Do I really need to start this early with the name drop jar?
Well,
obviously,
it's a movie. It's on
no,
Netflix,
because
it's coming in
my
Netflix.
dad was on the 6th and 7th floor of the Dakota facing the park, so that's where I watched.
Oh, is that where where they lived also?
Yeah, and Betty Bacall was on the 4th floor, and
Betty
I think
Bacall.
Lenny
and I would have coffee and watch the parade.
Yeah, of course. But Lenny, I'm trying to think what floor he was on. I think he was on a higher floor than
Lenny.
us.
You were on a Lenny name basis with Leonard
totally.
Bernstein?
Alex and
Wait,
Nina
you're too
and
young
Jamie?
to have known who Leonard Bernstein.
No, I'm not. He was our neighbor. I mean, not John Lennon was our neighbor, but yeah. Anyway, into the name drop jar. Here we go. That's just so much. I'm broke now. I'm completely broke. We also have Annie Palmer from the Maidstone Hotel, which is revamped and renewed.
Yes,
she's general manager.
It was the home of the fantastic Hamptons Film Festival.
Yes,
and
we have Patrick.
I'm loving that Jim Turner and Patrick McLaughlin joins us to talk about
Hamptons chapter.
all the turkeys that come out here and buy real estate. But I got to tell you what's happening in Indianapolis every year. A couple of years ago, some high school athletes decided to dress turkeys in baby onesies, light them on fire, and throw them across the football field in a best length contest. I can't believe in 2023 this is even still a thing, but they do this every year now.
Do they kick them since it's a football field?
They'd have to kick them if they're lit on fire because unless they're wearing asbestos gloves.
Well, maybe they stick like a cartoon TNT thing up them and then throw them and wait for them to explode.
Oh, you've watched way too many.
Hey.
Meep.
Yeah, I know. You know it. You know it. Acme turkeys.
Those who are listening to this on the radio are missing the great pleasure of having Bridget on.
Did you hear what our director Jason Nauer just said? They're dead turkeys, right?
Yes, they are. Yes.
I would hope so.
Good question. Yes, they are dead turkeys.
Good.
Jason Nauer, by the way, will join us later to talk about the worst movies of all time, or the biggest turkeys. Fantastic. And the Indianapolis thing is dead turkeys. By the way, turkey was not on the menu in 1621 for the first Thanksgiving. It was venison and wild fowl, also dried corn and some fruit.
You know way too much. Speaking of Turkey, you went to Turkey. You actually went there recently. We're gonna work
on
this
vacation,
turkey thing.
We're working the turkey angle anyway.
We're working the turkeys.
I went to a place called Bodrum where here, give me some pen. Nicole Miller and Candace Bushnell, who's been on this show, were there right before we got there. To make it nice for us. No, just
They didn't even know you were there.
And they
did they?
suggested some places to go. We did the hot air balloon over Cappadocia or whatever. And
you're looking at me like I know what you're talking about.
Went into the little tunnels, which are incredibly claustrophobic, but I recommend. And then we were in this hotel in Bodrum that was like a James Bond set. In fact, I kept asking, when do they start filming the movie? It's called the Magic Easy, and Mick Jagger has stayed there, and
you need
Aretha
some of these
Franklin,
coins.
And anyway,
yeah,
it was very cool.
Well, the famous
so that
people.
was fun.
And you.
By the way, before we get to our first guest, one survey, see if you agree with this, says more family arguments happen over the Thanksgiving table than any other day of the year.
Jim Turner likes that. Why?
Laughing heartily.
He knows.
You know that's the case, do you?
Brawls.
Brawls. Well, you'll love this, Jim. One kid a couple of years ago on Twitter, a 9-year-old, said what they should do on Thanksgiving is roast the family, like Jeff Ross or Don Rickles.
Oh my
so
God.
they started at this house.
Like a Friars Club.
But
turkey fryers.
A turkey fryer. There you go.
Okay, got it.
So let that be a new tradition in your household, perhaps this year.
roast them.
There are turkeys on Long Island. They don't all sell real estate. And
Patrick didn't like that.
And we're going to hear a little bit about whether they've been here all along.
I suspect they have
probably
not.
Precede us.
No,
we'll
I think
see.
that they disappeared or almost, and then made a comeback, is what I'm thinking. But Mike Bottini,
right? Since we know nothing,
right? Of course,
we brought in an expert,
an actual wildlife biologist who's been here forever. Not really, but we've known each other for probably like 30-something years. Is here to talk to us about wild turkeys. Welcome, Mike.
Mike, we can't believe this is a show either. Thanks for joining us.
We have no idea what we're doing. So, tell us a little bit about. I guess about wild turkeys, but first I want to know about the CTUC organization, because I'm not really that familiar with it. I remember you from Group for the South Fork, which then morphed into Group for the East End. And so tell us a little about CTUC Environmental Association.
So some years ago, it was when I was doing the first river otter survey on Long Island. So it was 2008.
Wait, I'm sorry. Do we have river otters here?
We do have
Oh my
river
gosh,
otters.
I'm
We
so
do
excited.
have river otters.
Do they
Another
like being
thing that's
surveyed?
along with the bald eagle and the wild turkey, another comeback. So I was pretty limited to the east end of Long Island in terms of my work as a wildlife biologist. And doing that survey, I had a lot of help from colleagues in Nassau County and the city and even, western Suffolk County. And I realized what a great kind, I call it the conservation clan of Long Island. And I just felt like we should get together and share who's doing what on Long Island. And I came up with an idea along with John Turner, who a lot of people would know, a very well-known naturalist, author, and founder of the Pine Barrens Society. And Tim Green, who works at Brookhaven National Lab. He's an ecologist. So we got together and came up with this idea of having a Long Island Natural History Conference. And the first year, it was a one-day event held at Brookhaven National Lab. And it was such a success that we decided that we needed to have a two-day conference the following year. And it's just grown. We have over 400 people attend that. So I got to know some of these other not-for-profits involved with conservation. One of them is CTUC Environmental Association. And the conference actually grew to a point where it got too big for our little group to handle.
Wow.
CTUC Environmental Association is the only not-for-profit conservation group working on all of Long Island. But not anywhere else.
Only Long
so
Island.
When you say
it was a
working,
great
though,
fit.
specifically like counting them or seeing where they're living, making sure they're surviving, what?
Their big project at that time, so we're talking over 10 years ago, was restoring herring runs on Long Island.
Herring, not
runs.
herons.
Herring runs,
Okay.
a fish.
Yes.
And it was a big project. It's complicated with the dams and all that.
Sure.
And they also got involved with bat research, and they have a big environmental education program. So it was a nice fit. And Enrico Nordone is the director, and everybody loves Enrico. He's just a great guy to work with. So it was a fun fit.
That's fantastic. Now talk to us about turkeys. Talk
we're talking
turkeys.
Yeah, so you are correct. We used to have turkeys on Long Island. one of many wildlife species that were quickly exterminated once the European settlers moved into the area. Which is kind of an interesting story.
This was before Bitcoin.
Okay.
Because, Homo sapiens has been here for thousands of years, and all these different species coexisted with them. And they did hunt and trap and fish and use those resources, but they did it. There's a lot we can learn from indigenous cultures. But they coexisted is a good word for it.
So they were all but eradicated, the wild turkeys on Long Island.
Didn't take long. Yes, and by
they're delicious.
By the
I mean,
1700s, European settlers had wiped out quite a few different species.
Wow.
But am I wrong? They're back in big numbers now, right? I mean,
they're everywhere.
I see them all the time crossing the roads,
Right. So the interesting story with the comeback of the wild turkey, unlike some other species like the river otter that just came back on its own with conservation laws and regulations on harvesting them, trapping and whatnot, the wild turkey, even though it's a bird, it's not a very adept flyer.
No, not at all.
So this is along with the quail and the grouse and the pheasant. This is an animal that really gets around on the ground really well. It can run, top speed is 18 miles an hour.
Wow.
And that's how it usually escapes
That's
danger
a fast bird.
and moves around. Yeah.
And it's
Feeds
big and
on
kind
the
of
ground.
scary. He's got big talons.
Right. And then at night, it can fly, but it basically just, flies up to the nearest tree and hangs out in the tree for the night to avoid predators. There were some turkeys that survived on Gardiner's Island, and they could not make the flight off Gardiner's Island. So they weren't a reliable source.
Do we have any idea how they finally made it?
So the state wildlife agencies, the Department of Environmental Conservation, they played around with trying to raise them on a game farm and then release them, but they found that it took the little wild strain out of them, and they never really survived.
Aww.
So they came up with the idea of trapping wild turkeys with a net when they were out feeding. They would put corn out or something to attract them.
Yeah, they're not the
trap
smartest
them.
animals on the books. So.
And they would resupply Long Island with that wild stock. So turkeys were wiped out of New York State, not just Long Island, by the early 1800s.
Oh my gosh,
There
I had no
was
idea.
one remnant population that survived in, I think it was the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania, and they started expanding with conservation laws that were set up. And sometime, I don't know the exact date, sometime in the 1900s, they showed up in the Allegheny Mountains in western New York. And people got the idea of maybe we could fast forward this by moving them around, moving like a dozen or two around the different areas. So that's what they ended up doing.
Turkeys on the road.
And they're not endangered in any way here. They're, in fact, do we have an overpopulation of turkeys on the eastern end of
some
Long
people
Island?
would say Long Island is unique in some ways in that we have a lot of open space on the east end, but there's an imbalance in the ecosystem here. We don't have a lot of
so you're not opposed to
apex predators.
So they hunt them, and that's not one of the things you have an opinion. You're not opposed or
No. It's there are
shoots.
plenty of turkeys to go around for
Are
recreational
they good
hunting.
eating though?
Wild
ones?
turkeys?
Wild game. It's a matter of how you cook it.
No way. We're talking to Mike Bottini, wildlife biologist, and I think we have some pictures, not for our radio audience on WLIW-FM, but for our LTV audience, some photos of wild turkeys. Oh,
Yeah, there
that's
we
me
go.
with my pet wild turkey, Pavo.
That's you and your husband Eric, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
Pavo.
Oh, that's not nice.
That's your Christmas card.
Pavo and Dindy were my two turkeys. That's how to say turkey in
Those
French
of
and
you on the
Italian.
radio don't know that this has been used as an excuse by Bridget to just sneak a lot of pictures of her and
Of my turkeys. Those were my pet
into the-
turkeys. They were Pavo and Dindy. I had them
really
for
have
years.
pet
I really
turkeys?
did. Yeah, those were them. We called them both Fuzzy Head after a while because we couldn't tell the difference. And we had them, and we kept them with our chickens. And then one day I looked outside and my favorite chicken, Comet, was being held up by her comb by one of the turkeys, and that was they went to turkey college shortly after that, because I was like, you do not mess with
Mike,
Comet.
you're the expert. Should we be concerned about Bridget? It sounds like there's some kind of
probably for many other reasons, but no, I love
Acres thing happening.
I'm not an expert on
you have not lived until you've hugged a turkey. They are so sweet, and they make that little noise like that, and they're just wonderful.
And they're not that smart, as you pointed out. So
no, not smart.
You get along.
Just silence.
This is going to be one of those family fights that happens at the Thanksgiving table, and it's brought to you by Douglas Elliman.
You have no idea.
No, I'm kidding.
Anyway, so we're wrapping up with Mike Bettini right now. So tell us a little more about how wild turkeys are doing today.
Yeah, so the DEC released they released some wild turkeys in a couple different spots on Long Island.
So
mostly the East End. That was in the late '90s.
Okay.
Oh wow.
And they did really well, obviously.
Yeah.
So turkeys are everywhere, and and you know, there's I was saying we don't have a lot of apex predators that could handle keeping those numbers in check. So
the turkey load.
The turkeys are all over the place. One interesting thing about the wild turkey is, have you ever seen a roadkill wild turkey?
Never.
Okay, they feed along the edge of the road in the fall when the acorns fall off the oak trees and they roll because of the crown roads to the edge of the road.
Oh.
And they're very close to cars. But I've only seen one roadkill wild turkey in all these years. And like I said, they're all over the place.
I wish they had a break for them out here.
I wish that they would teach the possums a lesson or two, because I hate seeing dead possums.
Raccoons, squirrels.
So the two you had as pets, did they go into a tree every night?
Yep, every night.
They did?
Yeah, they did.
Wow.
I'd kind of keep them. My chickens would free range, and every night they'd go up to the tree.
I did not know that.
That
is
very good Johnny Carson
this
there.
Is fascinating. Do we have a head count, by the way, of how many turkeys there are on the eastern end
I
of
think
Long Island?
I read an estimate of 4,000.
Oh, okay.
That's all of Long Island, though.
That's all of Long
Okay, yeah, not just the East End, but probably 3,000 are on the East End.
And that's a rough estimate.
They can't
it's
afford
very hard
it.
to
It's
sense.
very, very expensive.
It's so expensive here,
Okay.
but they fly up in the trees. That's not so bad.
Mike
Bettini,
thanks.
it's been great. If people want to learn more about this, can they go to more about you? Is it seatuck.org? Is that the
Yes, that's right.
SEATUCK.org
Yep.
to learn more about Long Island's wildlife and more about Mike Bettini. Thank
Great.
you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on our
Thank
show.
you. Thank you.
Great having you.
All right.
You're listening to the show with a lot to be thankful for. Jim, give us a little strum here as I bring Annie Palmer in. Yes, the show that we're thankful for, because month after month they keep forgetting to cancel us. It's Air Hamptons with Bridget and Bill. This is our special Thanksgiving. I made a joke about having an uncle that gets soused every year. Well,
Yes,
I don't
you did.
really have that. But we're going to get a special drink recipe, and we're going to learn a little bit about one of the most famous old buildings in East Hampton.
Welcome, Annie Palmer, General Manager for the Maidstone Hotel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
yeah.
Or should we say cheers, because Annie has actually brought us a recipe for a drink.
featuring what? What?
Probably wild turkey, if I was
Yes.
going to
Wild
Featuring wild turkey.
What are the odds?
Well,
Okay.
sometimes sometimes, Bill, we choose a theme and we don't exactly stick to it. Or we choose, like, that day we're like, fall harvest, because we don't know what to do. But today we're sticking
This
with
Wander
the turkey.
Astray is brought to you by Melissa Cohn.
Exactly. We're just all over the place. And today we're not. We're on task.
we're on target.
Talking turkeys.
So take us off that path. No, I'm kidding.
Annie
The only thing I
Palmer.
have to say about turkeys.
Okay, yes.
Not much, not
So,
like your
yeah.
last guest.
So,
Do people eat out on Thanksgiving? Do actually?
We do, actually,
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah, and we do plan on having a Thanksgiving dinner, which will be a la carte. So, welcome to all the locals.
Any of the
and
wild
hotel
turkeys
guests
that
alike.
Mike was just talking about?
Hopefully not.
I'll tell you what.
I actually
like-
have never seen a wild turkey in that part of town.
I'll tell you why people eat out. What my theory is, because I love eating out on Thanksgiving, is because when you have 3 kids and as they approach teenagerdom and stuff, they all have different diets. I had to have a vegan Thanksgiving where I had to cook a tofurkey. Yeah, and all kinds of different stuff. People eat things, they don't eat things, they're on diets, whatever. And I made Thanksgiving, with my mom every year. And sometimes we had to make like 12 pies because people would get invited and stuff. So I'm done. And I want to go to restaurants. What?
You don't just go to Cinderella?
No. Well, I could.
This unpaid endorsement for Cinderella
I
is
don't want
brought
to be
to
at
you
my
by
house.
the Maidstone.
And I don't want to be cleaning up. So I love to go out for Thanksgiving.
Can vegans eat the stuffing out of a turkey?
No.
Right?
Of course not. No, you have to make a separate vegan stuffing. It is such a pain in the ass. I'm telling you. I love you, Joel, but yes. So I'm happy to hear that Maidstone Hotel will be doing a Thanksgiving
And there may
menu.
be a drink there. What's it called? Do we have a name for it?
We're going to call it the South End, which is the name of the cemetery across the street.
Yes.
Okay, I guess that's a good luck charm.
So it's made of wild turkey, apple cider, lemon, a very small amount of pumpkin spice, and a whiskey glass with one large ice cube.
Pumpkin
sounds
spice.
wonderful.
Is there? Wait, it's just like it takes over every year.
I don't.
It's in
Well, these
everything.
cookies, like if we can just go for a minute to the cookies that I wish I could say I made these with a kindergartner because that's what they look like. But no, I take full credit. I made these cookies myself. They're pumpkin spice cookies.
Are
That
they?
one is dedicated to the Twilight Zone.
Exactly.
It's got
This one is too.
bullseye going
It's got. I
around
put
it.
tried to put a spiral on it just to do something, but it's there to hypnotize you.
Hypnotize.
So yeah, these are pumpkin spice cookies for you that I made.
So give us the recipe
didn't
again.
even say
It's
thank you.
like a jigger, let's say, or like
2 ounces of
2
wild
ounces of wild
turkey.
turkey, right?
I don't know exactly how much apple cider.
Apple cider
a
to
whole,
taste.
A whole lemon juiced. A little bit of pumpkin spice. And then in a whiskey glass with one large ice cube.
Are we shaking that? Are we straining it? Is
We're
there
shaking
any,
it.
Okay, fine.
Do we have a cinnamon stick point?
And that's the
Put-
South
Do a
End.
cinnamon stick.
Sure,
too.
why
It'd be
not?
so pretty. I'm trying to think, the South End is across the street, and of course, like one of the oldest graves there is Lion Gardner. So I'm trying to think about something about turkeys and lions, but I'm not coming up with anything. Somehow
Okay,
get
well,
a lion
great.
in that
That's
glass.
good. This
Somehow.
complete stop in the show is brought to you by.
Wow. I'm just going to eat my cookie in silence. You talk to Annie.
No,
Bill.
you're not.
Oh, no. I couldn't be quiet if I tried.
So the Maidstone is one of the. Does it have historical? Is it on the registration?
It
or any
is,
kind
yeah.
of
The building's from 1705. Wow. Yeah, so it's been around for a very long time.
I hope you've done some updates.
Yes, they've added electricity, and there's now indoor.
There's a few
toilets.
updates.
Yes, indoor plumbing.
In fact, you're going to close down for the winter, as is the Pridwin over on
Shelter Island?
Shelter Island. I think is doing the same thing. I don't know if they're remodeling already, but you're going to do a little sprucing up.
Correct. So the hotel's under new ownership as of April 1st of this year. So we managed to open up for Memorial Day,
Right.
have a wonderful summer, and we plan on doing more renovations this winter.
Yeah, it's a fun spot. I mean, it's centrally located. You can walk to town if you want to from there. There's a rack full of bicycles.
Correct.
There's a little swimming pool that almost nobody knows about.
I didn't know
that's in the
about that, and
back.
I've been
Yeah.
there a million times.
Well,
Really?
It's there.
I think the secret to that is it used to be only for the one cottage
House.
that it's
Right.
next to, and
Yeah.
now they've opened it up for all the guests. So anyway, I know way more about this place than I should.
Well, you do spend a lot of time there.
Tell us a little bit about the new ownership and his.
Of course. So it's owned by two gentlemen. One's named Erwin Simon, and the other one is Mayank Dwivedi. Mayank is a restaurateur from the city, and Erwin actually is an investor in Montauk Brewing Company, as well as Lunch Lobster Roll. Has been a Long Island resident since 1984, so has a lot of deep roots here.
So he's a blow it up big guy. I mean,
is.
the Montauk. Well, I'm just saying that because the beer is now everywhere.
It is, and
Yeah.
it's continuing to expand.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
and
doing very
Lunch
well.
opened 2 more or 1 more.
There's one in
location.
in
Southampton, yeah.
But also he had ties to Haynes Celestial
Correct,
as well, right?
yeah. He used to
Yeah.
run that company.
So he's done a lot. Now, are they hands-on owners, or are you kind of in charge of everything? You get to choose whatever you want, sleep in the big room.
What would they want me to say about that?
Yes, who's in charge? I'm sure they're not listening.
No, they're very hands-on, and they love the hotel, and we're all very excited about what's coming next. We have a big restaurant group coming in next summer to be announced. We're going to redo the decor this winter. They did some soft renovations from April to May. Of course,
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of time to get everything ready, but everything was repainted white. All the original floors were redone, so all
Wow.
hardwood floors.
I've
and-
always
Friendly. You
We
can
are
bring
pet
dogs
friendly,
there,
yes.
which is nice.
Well,
I've just
Exactly.
always loved the Maidstone, when it was back the Maidstone Arms. I mean, I just love that place always. And they used to do these incredible dinners there. Do you remember when Bill Valentine was the chef? They would do these flights that were just fantastic, where they'd have like a Russian night, and
Yeah.
they'd have whatever, all these different foods and these.
And the secret was, and I'm not saying you should do this, but it was great. They got there early in the day, and they did a pre-fee lunch that was often the same stuff that they were going to do at night. They were sort of bench testing it, and almost nobody knew about it. I ate there by myself several times.
We got.
It was delicious.
We
got a lot of calls this summer about they used to do yappy hours.
With the doggies, you bring
Make
your dog.
homemade dog treats.
Yeah, oh, cute.
So we're considering bringing that back.
Jim
We'll
Turner
see.
likes that. Right? Jim, do you have a pet?
I was raised by dogs, but I've also played many times at the Maidstone. I did background music there many times.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
With the guitar and the harmonica?
Yeah, sometimes with a duo and voice and dog. No.
You don't have dogs. All right, well, that's great. So once again, going back to our South End drink, which sounds wonderful.
which is going to be a
Wild
staple
turkey.
now on the menu. I will come by Thanksgiving and have that.
I'll have one with you.
Okay, great. That's great.
sounds
Listen,
fantastic.
Annie, it's a pleasure to have you here. We're so happy that I mentioned the film festival, and Jennifer Esposito joins us at the end of the show. For a couple of years, the Hamptons Film Festival had moved someplace else. Now they're back at the Maidstone.
Right.
It was a tremendous season this year, a great festival with a lot of great movies, and everybody said nothing but nice things about it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're proud to be a sponsor again, and we had a wonderful time with them and getting to know them, and we look forward to having them back next year.
Happy Thanksgiving.
What's the website? Is it
TheMaidstone.com.
themaidstone.com? Annie Palmer, general manager of the Maidstone, and we'll be
A
seeing
charming
lots of-
little corner of East Hampton.
Oh, it's so
don't
great.
Come and visit.
We don't need any Ritz-Carltons out here or any Four Seasons or any.
No.
No, we
We've
have
got the
charming
Maidstone.
little bed, breakfast, and inns.
Yes, we do, and they're fantastic. I love the Maidstone. So
Thank you so much.
congratulations, and we're looking forward to seeing big things after the reno.
She ran an
Keep you
inn for a
posted.
while. Don't bring it up. It's a sore subject.
No, it's not old, but it was very much like the Maidstone. It
Oh,
was,
great. Where was it?
New Hampshire, New London, New Hampshire. It was the New London Inn, 1792.
Very nice.
4 rooms. Yep, big place.
Boom.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, listen, down a tranquil, quiet country lane next to an airport, rock quarry, construction site, and off-road BMX track. This is Air Hamptons with Bridget and Bill. We're surprised you can even hear us. There's Jim Turner, who doesn't have a dog. We're very embarrassed that we asked him that. But ARF is calling now, Jim, and they're bringing several dogs over here for you to choose
To
from.
choose.
Yes.
I think I'm going to take this hat off.
No.
I know. Well, mate, you can wear it if you like. Wow.
No, I'm trying to quit.
Yeah, Rahman.
Again, for those of you listening on the radio, she has been wearing a fez-topped turkey.
I know. Well,
hat.
I couldn't. I mean, I can't believe I'm actually saying this sentence, but I couldn't find my regular turkey hat, so I had to buy the one with the fez. I'm serious.
I didn't even see the fest part.
Yeah,
Only
it's
Bridget Leroy
a friend's.
has a
it's a
choice of
I know.
turkey.
I never.
I
You
do
know
that.
what? Friends, no.
I know.
Those
that's why I
dulcet
haven't turned around.
tones you're
Okay.
hearing now are Patrick McLaughlin. You know him
dulcet
as a
tone.
regular on our little cast here.
Love
and,
having Patrick. on.
PatrickHamptons.com.
No.
Yeah, that's another one of my websites.
No,
you know.
Patrick Hamptons.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Wow.
That's a good. Yeah.
But
Thanks, Jim.
Hamptons
That needs a
chat-
jingle, Jim. Work on it. Okay, not this
not
minute.
right
Okay,
now.
Right now. We.
That's my real
Hampt-
estate website. Hamptons chatter has been a little quiet this
But
summer.
HamptonsChatter.net.
No chatter?
No, well, I was busy doing this TV show that was seen by tens of people every week.
Tens of people. That would be our show.
Yes.
Not this one.
That
the
was Weekend Live.
That was so much fun.
that
We had
was a lot
fun
of
doing
fun.
that, kids, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. I want to do
So I have
that
to
next
ask
year.
a question. When you had the turkeys, what did did Lauren Bacall, did she like the turkeys in the building?
No, they weren't in the building. I was living out here.
Oh, you
silly.
need to clarify
You
these
silly.
things.
I wasn't living in the Dakota with turkeys. They would poop everywhere. That would be so silly.
I wonder if the co-op board had an issue with the
yeah, they
turkeys in the
would.
building.
Totally.
In
No,
the
that was all-
1400s, the Dakota was often a gathering place
Place
for
for
wild
turkeys.
animal of all.
Yeah.
My favorite book of all time, though, takes place in the Dakota. You know
Which?
that? Time and Again by Jack
Oh, of
Finney.
course. I
the
love-
greatest book about New York City ever written.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that
magical.
book at all.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding.
You're
my God.
gonna laugh. I give that book out to people as a gift a lot of times. I gave it to a certain former network's who has since gone and passed wife. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah.
That's the money.
You
That's
can take
the
money
name
out of
drop
the
jar.
jar for that.
Take the money out.
But it's a really marvelous book if you've never read
It's
it.
fantastic.
Why has
It
it
is-
never been made into a movie?
It has.
They have tried. They've tried. Robert Redford bought the rights. There was a big article in the Times like 15 years ago. That
But
they were
wait, that's not the Christopher Reeve?
different
no,
movie,
right,
different
right,
movie,
right.
but it's kind of the
That's a
same
Mac
idea.
But I
like
love
time
it.
travel.
It's so good.
ghosty and
It's time travel-y.
It's time travel. They put a guy into the Dakota to try to convince him to go back to Victorian era, and there's that moment.
And it goes, and he travels
Yes.
back in time, but they have photographs. I love books
Yes,
with
they do.
photographs.
And then-
My favorite photograph, which is the Statue of Liberty's hand
Yeah.
in the middle of the park.
But
It's such a great book,
they
Patrick.
weave the whole story around these actual locations in New York City, including Gramercy. He stays at a B&B in Gramercy.
Right.
And
Oh, I
he
love
describes
that
it so vividly, you really feel like you're there. It's just
I like the movie idea. I like that Rex Reed would have a cameo in it because he lives there, and then he would pan his own movie at the end of the
There you go. But no, you've never read it, Bill.
It's-
Jack
Bill,
Finney,
it's so
who
good,
wrote
Jack
it, also
Finney.
wrote Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Right.
Wow.
And
Oh,
he
so it
wrote a
had-
sequel, which is okay,
I
but
didn't
not as good as the
read
original.
that. No, but the moment is like when they say, okay, so explain to us, the scientists, explain to us exactly what you saw when you woke up. And he's like, well, I saw the Natural History Museum, and then they all realize that today you can't see the Natural History Museum from the Dakota. So he traveled back in time to
Dun,
the
dun,
building in the way.
dun.
It's so wonderful. I
It's the
love that
greatest
book.
book ever.
I'm going to go home and read it right after this show.
Wow.
Such a great book.
Did you know Connie Chung and Maury Povich too?
Yeah.
Did they live in the...
Yeah, they are
But
still there.
I didn't know them from
I don't know
that.
why your last guest had a problem with Homo sapiens.
Okay, no, we don't judge. You're right.
Now. Okay. So what kind of turkeys are you going to talk about today?
Yeah.
There's so
All summer
Can I have a
long.
special drink first?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
sure. You got a
Yeah,
special drink?
no.
Yes,
I want
please.
So I did say let's talk best turkey sandwiches on the East End.
Ooh.
I pulled 3 out.
Okay, tell me.
Oh.
So I will tell you
great.
first of all. Okay, L&W Market in Bridgehampton, Eric Lemonides' restaurant.
Right.
I stopped on my way here to get a cardamom coffee, which is so good.
He makes a turkey sandwich with Granny Smith apples and a little bit of brie. Oh my God, awesome! It's really
Oh,
good.
all right. Good.
Another
We're big
one.
L&W people. It's right around the corner.
Right around the corner from your house.
Awesome.
Can we give you your address so in case people want to
Yes,
stop
please.
by?
Yeah. It's on that map of the stars.
So wait,
Just
I
find
want to
out.
know more about turkey sandwiches.
Okay, my other favorite
Tell me
turkey
more.
sandwich: turkey meatball parmesan from Philadelphia in East Hampton.
Turkey
Turkey-
meatballs.
Turkey
Turkey
meatballs.
meatball.
The best turkey meatballs. Really good.
Really?
Where
I mean, Red Horse Market has good turkey meatballs too, but they don't make it
wait,
into
is
a
this the
sandwich.
pork store?
the-
It's the
by
one,
rail-
it's the one
railroad
by the
station?
train
For the
station.
five
Yeah.
of you still listening, this is
I will say Carissa's has an amazing turkey sandwich.
Now, is that one kind of Thanksgiving themed with like cranberries?
No, it's just
and
turkey, Bridget. Will you guys stop with the Thanksgiving stuffing stuff?
This is
You know-
this is turned into the family from hell Thanksgiving,
I'll
where no
tell
one gets
you.
along with.
I mean, you know what? They used to have one at Breadzilla. God bless its
Oh,
soul.
gosh, yes.
That had like stuffing and
That's
turkey.
what I was
that was
thinking
like
about.
really a good sandwich. It was
But
so good.
Breadzilla, for people who don't know, was sort of like the soup Nazi on
Wayne Scott.
Seinfeld. They were like very prickly, and
They're no longer there.
They're no longer there.
Yeah.
But
But
the best sandwiches.
You made me think of the Moist Maker. That's why, because I'm wearing the Friends hat. I've turned
Yeah.
it
Moist
around.
Maker.
But yeah, that's that Ross had the sandwich that they
I
stole.
got 11
because-
jokes, and I'm not going to any of them. What the hell is the moist maker?
It's Ross in one episode of Friends talks about how when Monica, who's a chef, makes him a sandwich, she puts a piece of bread soaked in gravy in the middle of the turkey sandwich so that it keeps it moist. It's the moist maker, and then he brings it to work at the Natural History Museum. Talk about going back to Jack Finney,
Yeah.
and someone eats his sandwich.
In the 13 episodes we've done, that's maybe the best piece of advice we've ever offered anybody.
I am.
And it comes
the-
from an episode of
to
Friends.
soak
There you
bread
go.
with gravy and
Soak bread
keep
with
it
gravy and
moist.
put it in the middle of your sandwich.
That
So
actually
you-
sounds really good.
I love that.
It's a moist maker. Thank you, David
Yes, it
Schwimmer,
is.
and the writers of Marta Kaufman and David Chase. Thank you for that.
Okay, I did
So
not see
turkeys
that
of the
coming.
year? Can we talk
All right.
turkeys
Yeah,
of the
talk
year?
about the turkeys of the year.
Was it a bad or good real estate year, or the summer?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm still recovering from it.
Come on.
It was a pretty good year.
It was
wasn't
Tom
not.
Ford
It wasn't a.
bought that.
He didn't buy it from me, so I don't care.
Okay.
Anyway, so if Tom Ford bought it, I'd be
You wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be here.
Yeah. No, it was a quiet year. I mean, there were some big transactions that happened.
So that's what gets the press, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the $100 million house sells on the ocean that used to be Calvin Klein's, and that doesn't mean it was a good year for everybody. It
doesn't mean
they
it was
sold
a
a couple
Listen,
$100
there are
million
some
houses.
banner sales, like Lasada being one of them.
Lasada's what Tom
That's
Ford
the one
bought.
Tom Ford bought, the
think
former
that
Jackie
people-
Onassis, or the Bouvier family house.
Do you think that people like upped their prices during COVID and are still expecting to get that, and they need to dial it back a little
Correctamundo,
bit?
Bridget
Okay.
Leroy.
Yeah,
That's
there
it.
you go.
That's
Thanks.
part of the reason why the rental, it was like the turkeys of the year were like landlords who kept their COVID pricing for rentals.
Yeah, you can't do
and,
that.
And they sat, and they sat, and they sat, and no one rented them. So there was a real dearth of tenants this year, although you would never know it by the traffic out here, right?
Right.
The traffic was insane.
It was,
Yeah.
yes.
A lot of day
So I
trippers?
guess a lot of people, there's been a big influx of day trippers, especially in Sag Harbor. That's like,
Yeah.
you know.
The silver conga line coming in
Yeah,
and
I mean,
out.
I speak to a lot of the store owners and restaurateurs in town, and they say it's a lot of day trippers these days.
Yeah.
So,
Well.
and they open
Which is
them in-
strange because
yeah.
they can't take a train there.
They drive.
They drive, yes. But I mean, a lot of day trippers go to Montauk,
'Cause
get
you can get on
trashed,
the
get
train.
on
Well-
a train and go home.
That's especially on that Irish holiday. Yeah.
Yeah, oh boy, but that's
Yeah.
always been the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so tell us about more turkeys.
I said the sharks were the turkeys of this year.
The sharks?
Yeah, don't you remember this summer, all the shark attacks?
yeah.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that kind of ruined the summer for a lot of
Wow,
people.
yeah.
Really?
Right,
It's
Jim?
like Jaws.
No, yeah, it put a lot of fear out there.
It did put a lot of fear out there. You know?
You have
so-
a shark, Jim?
Sorry?
No, you don't have.
No, I know.
Can you do
No,
a shark on the
no
guitar?
shark. Yeah,
The theme?
If we do the theme, we're in
A lot
trouble.
of sharks out that I know out here. They live on the ocean. They have a lot of money.
Speaking of headlines,
Yes.
are there still squatters living
I haven't heard too many-
post-COVID
no, I
and
haven't
won't
heard
move
too
out?
many.
And because that was grabbing a lot of headlines for a long time. There were a
You know
bunch
what?
of deadbeats that would not leave.
Well, they tightened up on the state tightened up on the eviction laws. So people were able to actually get, but eviction's a very tough thing out here, actually.
Yeah, it
but
favors-
I've not
favors
heard
the
many.
tenant a lot.
It
No one
favors the
wants to
tenant
leave.
big time.
Yeah. I made
but-
these cookies.
It's not as prevalent as it was during COVID. So there you go.
Well, so any last thoughts about turkeys or anything? There's a lot of,
Any restaurant that was unfriendly this summer. Listen, I get you're all under stress, guys, but be nice.
yeah.
I'll
Really?
tell you.
You wanna
I'm not
name
going to
any?
tell you what restaurant, but you know the story, Bill, where they.
I
asked
know.
I asked for another table. I made the mistake of trying to grease someone with only a 20.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh my God,
How
you would
dare
have
you.
thought.
What?
And then she was so rude to me.
Jim
I
Turner
said
wants
her-
you to come to
I
his
was
house
so,
for
She was
$20.
so rude. I was with a group of friends, and she said it'll be a half hour, and then it was like 50 minutes later, and they own a restaurant around the corner. And I said to this lovely young woman, I said, "Can you check maybe you said a half hour. It's almost an hour now. Whatever. Maybe we go to the restaurant around the corner." She snapped at me. How would I know if there's tables there? I said, "Give me my 20 back." That went over really
Nice.
well.
God, I do know which restaurant. this
And then
is.
she chased me out the front door and said, "Maybe if it were 100 and you weren't like 60 years old, you would have gotten a better table." And I'm like,
did she give you the 20 back?
I took it back to the end.
Good
I'm
for you.
cheap, Jim.
Congratulations.
No, you should have gotten.
And
your
I got
20
offended.
bucks
I'm like,
back.
I'm not 60 yet.
Wow. Well, that's just amazing. Patrick
Wow.
McLaughlin, we love having you on. HamptonsChatter.net. All kinds of.
PatrickHamptons.com.
PatrickHamptons.com.
Before you go, worst movie you saw this year? Do you have one? Because we're talking turkey movies of all
haven't
time.
seen
In
it.
fact,
You know what?
In
I wa-
fact, you can mention any from any period, but I was trying to make it topical.
I
to
don't.
be
The
current.
worst movie. I remember there's very few movies I've walked out of. I walked out of Tattoo. Remember that one with Maude Adams and Bruce Dern?
Oh my gosh.
That was
I
so
don't remember that.
I don't
but
think that made the Rotten Tomatoes 100 worst, but okay.
might have.
I walked out of Caligula. Remember that one with John Gielgud and Helen Mirren?
And Malcolm McDowell. I stayed for that one, but boy,
Oh,
was
it was vile. It was
That
really
was
just a
really
vile
bad.
That
movie.
was, I believe, financed by Larry Flint.
It was.
I think
Not
he
Larry
made-
Flint, Bob Guccione.
Bob Guccione.
Oh, that's right.
Penthouse.
I'm trying to
Yes.
think what other
Larry
movies
Flint,
I really walked out.
Penthouse.
Oh, I will tell you. One I tried to walk out of was, remember Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage?
Yeah.
Directed
You know
by
what-
a
you know what?
local.
But we are not meant. Nick Cage just makes really bad movies a lot, so he's kind of off
He's
the
on a
table.
good streak now.
Well, someone said I saw a bad Nicolas Cage movie. I said, isn't that redundant?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Well, except Pig and not the unbearable lightness, whatever it is, the massive,
The
huge,
massive
massive
weaknesses.
talent.
So,
yes.
this story of Snake Eyes, we back when
Yeah.
Bill and I were doing.
And we had Brian
entertainment
De Palma on the
yeah,
show.
Yeah. So
Local
anyway, I
entertainment.
brought my sister who doesn't know how screenings work and how things function. So we're in, I think it was a Sony, I think we were in the Sony building. It was a Sony movie. And we get in the elevator, and my sister turns to me with Brian De Palma in the elevator and all the producers. That movie was terrible. I'm like, oh my God, you did not just say that. I'm like, we are so screwed with Sony Pictures.
That is always like, I learned that really early from going to a lot of Broadway shows and stuff. You never know during intermission whose mother, sister, father, spouse is next to you.
Well, also, even without Brian De Palma in the elevator, I learned really early on. Oh, there's Brian De Palma calling now.
I turn my phone off every time.
Yeah.
Even with without the stars or the actors or the stars or the director in the elevator, if you get 5 or 6 critics, there's an unwritten rule of nobody says anything. And I didn't know that, and I don't remember what I'd seen, but Owen Gleiberman almost jumped down my throat because I was like,
I didn't know that, because remember, you and I saw Titanic at a screening at Lincoln Center 3 months before it opened in theaters. I will tell you, there was one national critic who was next to me who fell asleep.
Long movie.
And I went with Mrs. McCuddy, Peter,
Siskel,
my partner.
Siskel and Ebert
were behind
walking,
us, and
but they
walked out with us. You know the only person who liked the movie Titanic? Me.
I liked it, but I wasn't.
I was like, I love that movie. That's going to be huge.
My wife had the great line. She goes, that movie should be called "Come On, Rose, Come On, Rose."
And everyone cracked up.
And Siskel turns around and gave her the thumbs up, which was so cool.
But you know, you never know. But everyone was walking out of that movie saying, "Oh, I lied." I don't remember that unspoken rule.
Little movie theme music, Mr. Turner.
Patrick McLaughlin.
Patrick, thank you for joining
so
us.
much.
And we always
AirHamptons.com.
So what do John Travolta, Eddie Murphy, John Candy, Halle Berry, Bruce Willis, Bo Derek, Kate Beckinsale, and Jim Carrey have in common?
They all like turkey?
They like turkey, I'm sure.
I don't know.
But they all have the dubious honor of making Rotten Tomatoes' list of the 100 worst movies of all time, 37 of which got zero tomatoes or green asterisks or whatever those things are. Jason Nauer is a filmmaker. He makes this show for us. He's our director. Who's driving the car right now, Jason?
We have a show?
We're on autopilot right now.
Oh my goodness.
Jason, we are so happy to have you on board because, by the way, of the 100 that Rotten Tomatoes picked, John Travolta was in 4. Gotti, Staying
Sounds
Alive,
right.
Look Who's Talking
And the Barbarian
Now,
thing.
and Battlefield Earth.
That's what I
which
meant.
was his
Right.
Scientology
His
movie.
Scientology movie.
Yeah, the Gotti movie was surprisingly bad.
Was it really? Is it like
It's
worth
fun-
watching?
No. No. Like it's just it's almost like it checks the boxes of every trope that you want to do. Like it's one of those moments where just like you should be watching something else.
Right.
Like if you want to watch Gotti, you should watch The Godfather.
Right.
Oh, I
You want to watch
see.
Gotti?
Yeah.
No, you should watch Goodfellas.
Right,
You-
right.
You want to watch Gotti? No, you should watch.
So it has
literally
the
anything
familiar
else.
tropes, but they just fall short
It's just-
every
there's
single
no-
Like those little signs they had in Blockbuster, if you liked this, and then it would point to another
Well, they do that.
That's
They do
right.
that now on like Prime or Netflix. It's like if you like this, here's
They
a bunch
do.
of other
What
movies.
did
that you
Adam
like.
Sandler say about a Rob Schneider movie? If you like this, and it pointed to a pile of poo, it's like you might like this.
It was either Adam Sandler did that or David Spade when he was doing Weekend Update.
Oh, yeah,
it
when-
might have been
the Hollywood Minute?
because
Yeah.
he was really mean about all of
Oh,
those
he
things.
was. He was super mean.
By the
Yeah.
way, I mentioned Adam Sandler. He is in one that also made the 100 list.
Jack
as,
and Jill, is
as
it?
Jack and Jill.
I haven't
with
seen it.
Al Pacino.
Yeah,
the great
yeah.
Al Pacino.
Yeah.
he
My
plays Jack
goodness.
and Jill, and that's a Thanksgiving themed movie.
Is it?
Happens? Yes. That
Yeah,
whole
you can
thing.
throw money at people.
Well, I have a couple of movies that I wanted to. You can't do this without mentioning Plan 9 from Outer Space.
No, not at all.
Which is just the worst movie ever made, but in a funny way. I mean, people
Like
have
Ed
torn-
Wood. Like it was
exactly.
intentionally kind of
Well,
campy.
I don't think he intentionally did it, but if we can
we roll the
that
clip?
in for our listening and watching audience.
Jaws the Revenge.
Bullets bounce off their bodies. Rockets, missiles, jets cannot stop their death ships. What earthly power can stop this terror? For a glimpse of things to come, see this blast of...
great bad movie.
It is really. In fact, I have a friend, Rudy Cheeks, not his real name, but that is the name. And he wrote a movie column for the Providence Journal for like 20 years.
Yeah.
It was called "That Proves It," which is a line from Plan 9 from Outer Space.
So
I love the UFOs with the wires hanging.
I
on
did
them.
some research on Plan 9, and I wanted to see if there's any good conspiracy theories about Plan 9 from outer space. Because as I'm watching
this foretell?
in the age of QAnon and everything else, I'm like, there has to be something good about this.
Tell us now.
Right.
So there's actually just Plan 9 has a special place because there's fun conspiracy theories.
Okay.
One of them is that it was actually a secret cover-up by the U.S. to discredit UFOs.
Interesting.
That's fun.
Because of Area 51.
That's almost conceivable.
Throwing people off the track.
Which is a fun idea, which is the fact that like, oh, okay, let's make something so bad that the second anyone sees it, they're like, oh, you're like that, right?
Right.
Another one is it's a U.S. time travel conspiracy.
How's that possible?
I don't know. I think it got lumped in with like the Philadelphia experiment and all the other crap that
They all
happened.
live in the Dakota?
I guess so. And the best one is that it's actually secretly brilliant.
Very secretly.
Which is always the goal of every genius,
Yes, of course.
is to be a secret genius. Because nobody ever wants credit for the work that they do.
I'm going to have a T-shirt made up that says, "I'm secretly a
Secret
genius."
genius. I'm a secret genius.
That's a very well kept secret.
Yes, it sure. Thank you very
Stop it,
much.
I'm
Gosh,
kidding.
you
No.
just are
It's
cutting
very
me to the
obvious that
quick.
you're a genius.
So what else do we have on
what
your
else?
list, Jerry?
Have you seen anything recently that was bad?
Oh, God. Did I see anything recently that was bad? No, I've been avoiding like modern movies like so much. Like I like what I've been doing is like occasionally like I'll either watch like something from Korea or I'll watch like a movie from the 70s. Like I found like Hard Times is now remember
with James Coburn and
James Coburn and
one of his first. We're both trying to think of
Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson. Yes.
I've not even seen it, but
Yes.
you put your dukes up, and I was like, he was a
It's
fighter.
so good.
You looked like Bronson.
It's such a good, simple movie.
Somebody famous directed that too, like Michael Ritchie.
It's not Michael. It's the writer it was a writer director, and like Tarantino like always cites him as like his main like inspiration
Guys,
for it.
I know we're not supposed to do
So,
this
but that's a
on
good one. So we're
It's
not
a
putting
good
you
one.
on
We're
the
not putting you on the
spot.
spot. No, but like I've been just avoiding like most of the time it's like anything that you can see which is like coming out this whatever on whatever streamer.
Right.
It's like there's so many movies that like it's almost bad. It's a weird one. It's like if you make something really bad, it's almost cool because of the fact that you had to make certain choices. Like it's like I can respect a misfire.
Right.
way more than I can just like reheated leftovers.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
Yes.
speaking of leftovers, this is our Thanksgiving actually.
It is.
Yes,
You know,
it
it is. It's Charles Bronson. Strother Martin was in it. There's lots of people. The director.
Tons.
It doesn't say who the director was.
Good. Well, anyway, that's a good movie. So we're going to move on.
Okay.
On my list for bad movies, I'm going to start off with something that feels like a very much of a Hamptons bad movie, which is Swept Away in 2002,
that the one-
directed
is
by
that Madonna?
the remake. Guy Ritchie Madonna.
Oh no, I never saw that. Gosh, no.
No. So not only it was critically destroyed because it was just Ritchie and Madonna, and it looks like it was something that was
Did
made.
the first one like
Vertmuller.
Yeah.
But what was really funny is that my mom took me to see that when I was 10 years old because she said you have to see a movie directed by a great female director. And there we are in the front with what's her name saying Sodomichime, which I'm not going to translate for you, but you can probably figure it out. And my mom was like,
I can't.
well, I'll tell you afterwards, honey. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'll fill you in. But yes, that's one sentence I know how to say in Italian. It's not very useful.
I find when really established people try and do something different. In 2016, and it got 0 stars, there was a Jim Carrey movie called Dark Crimes, which I don't even remember.
Yeah, that was like him trying to.
He had Gumshoe, but in a noir-y
Not
kind of
Ace
a thing.
Ventura.
No, it was a noir gumshoe, and I want to say it was supposed to be like a American-made Scandinavian like dark type of thing.
Oh,
Like a
yeah,
Joe
yeah, yeah.
Nesbo,
Like Insomnia. Like
yeah,
the
it was
remake
supposed
they
to
did
be
of that,
something
which is
like
actually
that.
pretty good.
I've not even heard of
that's
that.
it didn't work out well. But that's another one. Like when people like go outside the. or try to prove something outside that zone. Like there's only a handful of directors who you can really say like who do that very well. Like Danny Boyle is one of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Danny Boyle can do almost any
Boyle can direct.
genre.
Yeah,
I like any Danny Boyle movie.
Yeah, same.
The
same.
Sunshine thing.
Why do we not all go out and watch movies together? We seem to have very similar
really
tastes.
don't know why.
Wait, listen, can we
But
just
if we
jump?
do, we're not going to any of these. We're not going to Wagons East with Richard Lewis and John.
Oh, that's bad.
Is it?
You know what?
seen it?
That brings up another topic which we could do an almost complete hour on, which is the curse of the last movie.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is such a
just did
great.
that.
It's such a great story.
Didn't
It's
we
like,
do that with Clavin on the last episode?
Did
kind
we?
of?
I'm not.
Yeah, we did the Swarm.
The idea is that it's such a shame when people pass away, and it turns out. So, for example, the great director William Friedkin, who did The Exorcist and French Connection, just redid with Kiefer Sutherland Caine Mutiny. Now, you don't remake Caine Mutiny.
How can you
Caine
remake
Mutiny
that?
with Bogart?
No, you can't.
Strawberries. And it's like, but he did, and it's supposed to be kind of a misfire.
And then he died, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
That's terrible.
Curse of the Last Movies.
Another movie this is also another curse of the last movie because I think it was her only movie, is The Hottie and the Naughty.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Which is
Whose movie is that?
Paris Hilton's movie.
Oh my God!
Oh wow.
We're in a whole subgenre now.
May I read just 2
please.
seconds?
Sure.
Actually, no. You have the best radio voice, so you reading the description of Hottie
and
and
then
the
we have to
Naughty
get to Jennifer Esposito.
is my favorite of all time. So right here, second.
The Hottie and the Naughty is a romantic comedy that follows the story of Nate Cooper, who returns to Los Angeles with the mission of wooing his longtime crush, Christabel Abbott. However, he discovers that Christabel has an unusual condition. She's vowed not to date anyone until her best friend, June Fig, the naughty to her hottie, finds a boyfriend.
Oh my God.
June's unconventional appearance and personality make the task seemingly impossible. But as Nate gets to know June, he begins to question the importance of physical beauty and superficial judgments in the world of love, leading to unexpected, I don't think so, and comical twists in this humorous tale.
I don't think so.
The Hottie and the Naughty.
Well, that just sounds
Jason Nauer.
like a really bad after-school special.
Yeah.
Don't you make any bad movies. I know that you do them on the side. I want to mention before we go that Jennifer Esposito's new film, Fresh Kills, deals with the women behind the men in Staten Island. And it's a mafia movie, but it's basically what Goodfellas or Godfather would make the B or C or D story is the A story. Mm-hmm. She knew a lot of these people when she was growing up. So I asked her if this was based on one particular family. Here's her response.
I didn't base it on anyone in particular, but I saw that lifestyle around me as a young person. So there was something that really stayed with me through where I grew up. There was a lot of rage in the young women. And I found that really fascinating, and I didn't understand it. And then as I got out into the world, and I just chalked it up as like, well, their families are, in the mafia. I guess, how would you feel? I realized it was less about that and more about that they were stuck in a slot that they didn't necessarily choose. So that's where it just stayed with me. It just
have any mob families seen the movie yet?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, and I've received
death
the big
threats?
probably no. Actually one of the biggest compliments you can get, which was like, you really nailed it. So I've had a few actually females come up to me, 2 at the premiere, and one of them said with tears in her eyes, that was my life. And then another one said, you really nailed it.
Fresh Kills is on the festival circuit. When it comes to a theater or streaming service near you, don't miss it. She told a really interesting story at the screening last month. She said that Hollywood offered her $5 million to make the movie if she got a big star to be the father, the gangland father, who's kind of a small part. He goes away to prison. I'm not giving anything away. And she was like, no, that's not my movie. My movie is the women. And so she went out and found, in addition to her directing it, she got 3 female producers, and they made the movie for a lot less than that, all on her own dime.
Good for Jennifer Esposito.
Jennifer Esposito.
This has been a really fun episode.
It has.
Talking turkeys.
Yeah.
What do you think of my cookie?
I think the cookies are fantastic.
Oh, you can have them all, Jason.
We are going to definitely. I think it's good that we wait. Hold up. If we're doing radio, if we're doing radio, you should definitely.
Oh gosh.
Not.
I
All right,
made
I'll
these
try
cookies, and they really do look like they were decorated by a kindergartner. I have no excuse. I did them completely on my own.
I thought they were artisanal.
Well,
Happy
listen.
Thanksgiving to all of
Happy
you. Thanks for
Thanksgiving.
listening.
Thanks.
We
and
hope to be back soon.
back
so
to our
keep
own
listening.
private turkey. Jim Turner, take us out, please. You've been listening to Air Hamptons with Bridget and
All right,
Bill
you too.
on LTV Studios, filmed here, and also on WLIW FM, Long Island's only NPR station.
It's a big tin can that we call home, LTV.